In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told me, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages you've had. While reserving judgments is a matter of infinite hope, I've come to admit that my tolerance of human behavior has its limits. Gatsby, the man who gives his name to this story, represented everything for which I have an unaffected scorn. And yet there was something gorgeous about him. Some heightened sensitivity to the promises of life, a romantic readiness such as I have never found in any other person, and which it is not likely I shall ever find again. Gatsby turned out all right in the end. It's what preyed on him that gives rise to this story. The foul dust that poisoned his dream in the summer of 1922. After the war, I returned home restless and decided to go east and learn the bond business. I rented a house in one of the strangest communities in North America. 20 miles from New York City, a pair of enormous eggs jut out in a Long Island Sound. I lived in the less fashionable West Egg. Across the bay, millionaires tucked themselves away in hidden palaces. But visible to me on that first day was a distant, mysterious figure on one side and a green light flickering on the other. The history of that summer really begins when I drove across the bay to the more fashionable East Egg to have dinner with the Buchanans. Daisy was my second cousin once removed, and I'd known Tom in college. His family was enormously wealthy, and he'd been one of the most powerful ends that ever played football at Yale. He and Daisy had spent a year in France drifting aimlessly among the rich. This was to be a permanent move, Daisy told me over the telephone. But I didn't believe her.
Nick! Oh, I'm paralyzed with happiness. Say hello to Jordan Baker. She's from Louisville. Our girlhood was spent there together. Jordan, say hello to Nick. He lives in West Egg. So how are things in Chicago? Do they miss me?
There's a persistent wail of mourning all along the North Shore.
Oh, how gorgeous. Let's go back, Tom, tomorrow. You ought to see the baby.
I'd like to.
What you doing, Nick?
Bonds. I'm with Sutcliffe James.
Never heard of him.
You live in West Egg?
Hmm.
Been to parties there.
I don't know a soul.
You must have heard of Gatsby's parties.
Gatsby? What Gatsby?
Where's the little one? I suppose she talks and eats and everything.
The nanny put her down. But that just gives you an excuse to come back another time. Do you always watch for the longest day of the year and then miss it? I always watch for the longest day and then miss it.
We ought to plan something.
All right. What do we plan? What do people plan? Oh, look. I heard it. Tom did it. Oh, you did do it, even though you didn't mean to. That's what I get for marrying a brute like you. A great, big, hulking physical specimen of a man.
I hate the word hulking, even in kidding.
Hulking?
You're from the Midwest. Can't you distract us with insights about crops?
You want insight? Civilization's going to pieces. Have you read The Rise of the Colored Empires by this man, Goddard?
No.
We've got to beat them down.
The idea is, we're Nordics. We've produced all the things that go to make civilization. Art, science, things like that. Yet we're in danger of being submerged. It's depressing.
Telephone from New York, sir.
Excuse me.
I'll be going up to my room soon.
Jordan is going to play in a golf tournament tomorrow in Westchester.
Oh, that Jordan Baker.
You two are going to have to come over here every weekend so that I can fling you together. Excuse me. Please get off the phone.
Pardon?
Tom, who is that?
None of your business.
What do you mean?
I said it's
Something happening?
Tom's got some woman in New York. I thought everyone knew. Are you surprised?
Actually, I'm more surprised that he was depressed by a book.
She might have the decency not to call it dinner time.
I'm having a private conversation on the phone.
Right now, get off! Couldn't be helped. I looked outdoors for a minute, and it's very romantic outdoors. There's a bird on the lawn who I think might be a nightingale come over on the Cunard or the White Star Line. He's just singing away. Isn't that romantic, Tom?
Yeah.
We don't know each other very well, Nick. You didn't come to my wedding.
I wasn't back from the war.
That's true. Well, I've had a very bad time, Nick, and I'm pretty cynical about everything. Everything's terrible anyhow. Everybody thinks so. Most advanced people. And I know. I've been everywhere and seen everything and done everything. Sophisticated. God, I'm so sophisticated.
I've got an idea. I thought you and I could hit the town together Sunday, Nick.
Oh, well, I've really got a lot.
2 o'clock. I'll come get you.
About halfway between West Egg and New York, the motor road moves beside the railroad and is bounded on the other side by a small, foul river. This is a valley of ashes. Brooding over the solemn dumping ground are the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg. Eyes once hopeful of fattening the practice of some nearby optician, now dimmed by many paintless days under the sun and rain.
Come on. I want you to meet my girl. Wilson, how's business?
Can't complain, Mr. Buchanan. When are you gonna sell me that car?
Next week. I got my man working on it.
He works pretty slow.
If you feel that way, maybe I better sell it somewhere else.
No, that's not what I meant.
Get some chairs.
It's a terrible place. Those are good to get away.
Doesn't her husband object?
Wilson? He doesn't know he's alive. Thinks she goes to New York to see her sister. There she is. Myrtle, say hi to Nick.
Oh, hi, Nick.
So Tom Buchanan and his girl and I went up to New York. The apartment, its furnishings, and Myrtle's red dress had all been bought and paid for by Tom. For some reason I did not understand, Tom thought all of this would impress me.
Hey, Tom. I should really get going.
Myrtle will be hurt if you don't at least stay and meet her sister. We're gonna have a party. Cheers.
I had been drunk just twice in my life, and the second time was that afternoon. So everything that happened had a dim and hazy cast over it.
You know, neither of them can stand who they're married to.
Can't they?
No, they can't. It's his wife that's keeping him and my sister apart. Because Catholics don't believe in divorce.
Tom's wife isn't Catholic.
Oh.
Myrtle, we need more ice.
I was at a party at West Egg about a month ago at a man named Gatsby's.
You must have heard of Gatsby's parties.
Gatsby? What Gatsby?
Myrtle, wake up. We're out of booze.
Yes, sir. On the double.
We met on the train. Whenever he looked at me, I pretended to be looking at the advertisement over his head. And when we came into the station, he was next to me, and he pressed up against my arm. I said I was gonna have to call the police, but he knew I lied. And all I kept thinking about, over and over, was you can't live forever. You can't live forever.
That's how you met your husband.
So I met Tom.
Oh.
I've told you. How many times have I told you? How many times have I told you?
Daisy! 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 I'll say it any time I want!
I'm sorry, Myrtle. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it.
Yes, you did.
Keep the change.
Thank you, sir.
The honor would be entirely mine if you would attend a little party next Saturday. Jay Gatsby.
You want to say something about where I was?
Is all of that West Egg?
If you're wondering, I was with Nick in New York.
And
man Gatsby.
I went to a party
man
at
Gatsby.
West Egg about a month ago at a man named Gatsby's.
You must have heard of Gatsby's parties.
Gatsby? Gatsby's?
Gatsby's.
Gatsby? What Gatsby?
You must be on your way to one of those great gaudy dances they throw for the servicemen.
Yeah. My name's Jay Gatsby.
You're going the wrong way. It's back there. I would give you a ride, but I'm late for a dinner engagement.
Will you tell me your name?
Why?
Well, I was hoping you'd come with me to one of those big gaudy dances. Will you? Bye.
Daisy Faye.
Hello, Daisy.
Now, what did you say your name was again? Was it Blackston? Gatsby?
Yeah. Gatsby will do.
All right, Mr. Gatsby. Hold on to your hat.
There was music from my neighbor's house through the summer. Men and girls came and went like moths among the whisperings and the champagne. I believe the first time I went to Gatsby's house, I was one of the few guests who had actually been invited. People were not invited. They went there. They got into automobiles which bore them out to Long Island, and somehow they ended up at Gatsby's door. Once there, they were introduced by somebody who knew Gatsby, and after that they conducted themselves according to the rules of behavior associated with an amusement park. In the afternoons, Gatsby's guests danced and frolicked on his beach, or else they floated by in one of his boats while waiting for the sun to drop and the party to begin. Every Friday, 5 crates of oranges and lemons arrived from New York. There was a machine in the kitchen which could extract the juice of 200 oranges in half an hour if a button was pressed 200 times by a butler's thumb. Excuse me, do you know where Mr. Gatsby is?
Oh, am I at Gatsby's again?
Let's bring it. Thing.
A piano.
I thought you might be here.
How'd the golf tournament go? Westchester.
Oh, that. I dropped out. A caddy accused me of improving my lie. Can you imagine? A caddy. Come to these things often?
I just love it. When I was here last, I told my chair on my dress.
He asked for her name and address.
Inside a week, I got a package from Carraway with a brand new gown.
He doesn't want trouble from anybody.
No.
Who doesn't?
Gatsby. And he was a German spy in the war.
Hey. Hey, where are you going?
They're boring me.
What do you think?
About what?
About that.
Books?
Absolutely real. Here, let me show you. They have pages and everything. See? A bona fide piece of printed matter. It fooled me. I've been drunk a week, and I thought a library might sober me up.
Did it help?
I can't tell you. I've been here only an hour. What's wrong?
Nothing. You look like a billboard I saw.
You must mean Dr. Eckelberg. Yes, people say that. It's the glasses.
Let's go.
Third Division?
9th Machine Gun Battalion.
7th Infantry until June of 18. You know I'd seen you before. Say, I just bought a hydroplane. You want to go out some morning, old sport?
Sure.
Having a gay time now?
Much better. This is an unusual party for me. This man Gatsby sent over a chauffeur with an invitation, but I haven't seen him.
I'm Gatsby.
You are.
I'm sorry, I thought you knew. I'm afraid I'm not a very good host.
Chicago on the line, sir.
You'll have to excuse me for a moment. If you want anything, you just ask for it, old sport. Old sport. Who's this guy?
Just Gatsby.
Oh, well, where's he from?
I hear he's an Oxford man, although I don't believe it.
No way.
I just don't think he went there. Anyhow, he gives large parties, and I like large parties. They're so intimate. At small parties, there's never any privacy.
I found myself growing more interested in Jordan Baker and ever more curious about Gatsby. Young men didn't, in my experience, drift coolly out of nowhere and buy a palace on Long Island Sound just to give parties that lasted all night. The morning sun revealed Gatsby in a posture I could only assume Jordan would describe as intimate. And while I don't think I was yet in love with Jordan Baker, I will confess to feeling mildly jealous and annoyed at Gatsby. Not long afterwards, Gatsby's gorgeous car pulled up at my door. It was the first time he'd called on me. He wanted us to ride up to the city for a fancy lunch that would include, among other things, the story of his life.
Look here, old sport. I don't want you to get the wrong idea about me from all these stories you hear. Now, I'm gonna tell you God's truth. I was born to wealthy parents in the Middle West, both dead. I was educated at Oxford because all my ancestors were educated there. After that, I lived like a young Raja in all the capitals of Europe. You know, painting a little. Things for myself only. Trying to forget something very sad that happened to me long ago. Sorry. It's all right. Then came the war. In the Argonne Forest. I took a detachment so far forward there was a half-mile gap on either side where the infantry couldn't advance. 2 days and 2 nights. 130 men, 16 Lewis guns. When the infantry came forward, they found the insignia of 3 German divisions among the piles of dead. Look, the reason I'm telling you all this is I have a request to make of you. Now, I understand you're seeing Miss Baker later.
Do you mean you're in love with Miss Baker?
No. No, I'm not. But Miss Baker has kindly consented to speak to you about this matter.
Why don't you just tell me yourself?
Hey, good to see you, Meyer.
Mr. Wolfsheim, this is Mr. Carraway, my friend. Mr. Carraway, this is Mr. Wolfsheim.
This is nice. But I like across the street better, at the Metropole. So, you're looking for a connection.
Meyer, this is a friend. This isn't the man. We're meeting him at 4.
Sooner would be better.
I'll go tell him.
Fine fellow, isn't he? Handsome to look at. The perfect gentleman.
Don't forget war hero.
Have you seen his medals?
No.
I have. He's a very impressive young man.
Have you known Mr. Gatsby a long time?
I made his acquaintance just after the war, on a friend's boat. Dan Cody. Dan Cody was a man who died $10 million in debt. Do you know how special an individual has to be to have that much debt? You like my cuff buttons?
Ivory?
Human molars.
Unique.
I told him 3 at the Metropole.
I think I'll wait over there.
Well, Meyer, you don't have to go.
You sit here. Discuss your sports, your young ladies.
He's an interesting guy. Was he a dentist?
No. He's a gambler. He fixed the 1919 World Series.
The night I first met you, Daisy came up to my room later and woke me. She wanted to know what Gatsby. When I described him, she said in the strangest voice, it must be a man she knew. When it all came back to me, they knew each other in Louisville 5 years ago. We ran with different crowds then, but I remember seeing them together once in her car. I remember he looked at her in that way that all young girls want to be looked at sometime.
A strange coincidence.
It wasn't a coincidence at all. I think he half expected her to wander into one of his parties some night. She never did.
What do you mean?
Gatsby bought that house so that Daisy would be just across the bay. He wants to know if you'll invite her to your house some afternoon and then let him come over.
Why didn't he ask you to arrange a meeting?
He wants her to see his house. And your house is right next door.
Later, she told me more about Gatsby's past. He was a penniless young man who'd made it into Daisy's house and her life. He took what he could get, but when he went off to war, Daisy soon slipped back into a rich, full life. When the war ended, and more than a year had passed without a word from Gatsby, she gave up hope and became betrothed to Tom Buchanan of Chicago. On the night before they were to be married, Daisy changed her mind about Tom, but she married him anyway.
Your place looks like the World's Fair.
That's it. How about a trip to Coney Island in my car, old sport? How about a swim in the pool?
No, I gotta go to bed. I talked to Miss Baker. I'm gonna telephone Daisy tomorrow and invite her over for tea.
Well, that's all right. You know, I don't want to put you to any trouble.
Would next Sunday suit you?
Yeah. Yeah, I would, old sport.
Oh, good night.
Good night.
Gatsby's smile was one of those rare smiles with the quality of eternal reassurance in it. It faced the whole world and then concentrated on you as you would like to believe in yourself. Precisely at that point, it vanished, and you were looking at an elegant young roughneck, a year or two over 30, whose elaborate formality of speech just missed being absurd. Leaving nothing to chance, Gatsby turned my modest cottage into a greenhouse. He had waited 5 years so that he could come over to a neighbor's house and accidentally bump into Daisy. The meeting was to be spontaneous.
Is this tie too much?
Nah, it's fair gold.
You're selling bonds, aren't you, old sport?
Trying to.
I'd like to pay you back. You know, it wouldn't take up too much of your time, and you might pick up a nice bit of money. It's sort of a confidential deal.
You don't need to pay me back.
You wouldn't have to do any business with Wolfsheim.
No, thanks.
She's not coming.
It's 2 minutes to 4.
Daisy, you know, I don't think I'm gonna fit in here.
Nonsense. People in this club may be wealthy, but they're always ready to help a soldier. Excuse me, sir. Can we count on you to help the war effort?
Are you sure this will help our boys?
Oh, most definitely.
You're very lucky, Lieutenant.
Thank you, sir.
There you are. Now no one will tell the difference.
Thank you, Ferdy. Take an hour. Why did I have to come alone? Are you in love with me? Ah!
All the flowers. Are we having a funeral?
Well, you know. Funny?
That must be the corpse.
Hello, old sport. I was just passing by. Thought I'd stop in out of the rain.
Oh, well, we were just gonna sit down for some tea. Want to join us, Gatsby? This is, Daisy. She's...
We've met.
Well, I certainly am awfully glad to see you again. It was a long time ago.
5 years. In November.
Jordan says she's been seeing a lot of you.
No, probably more than she'd like.
Oh, no. She'd be completely bored without you. She actually cares for you. I know Jordan, and that's saying a lot.
Well, I must admit I care for her, too.
Tom was a complete beast to her last week.
Sorry.
She borrowed his car, and he accused her of leaving it out in the rain with the top down. Can you imagine?
Jordan would never be so careless. You can ask any caddy. I'll be back.
This is a terrible mistake.
Just embarrassed. Daisy's embarrassed, too.
She's embarrassed?
You're acting like a little boy. Not only that, you're rude. Daisy's sitting in there all alone. Shh. Old sport.
When I came back from overseas, I looked for you.
I tried to wait for you. I know it may not seem like I did, but I waited.
I know.
The bad news is the tea's cold. The good news is it stopped raining.
Has it? What do you think about that, Daisy? Stop raining.
I'm glad, Jay.
How about you and Daisy come around my house? I'd like to show her around.
Are you sure you want me to come?
Absolutely, old sport.
I was uncomfortable knowing I was only there so Daisy could be Gatsby's exclusive guest that afternoon. Strangely, he kept her waiting. Soon enough, he would make another grand appearance.
Thank you. Hello?
It's Slagle.
Yeah, I can't talk right now.
Young Park's got a setup in Detroit.
I said a small town.
Hey, it's okay. Park says that...
Hey, you listen to me. Man's no use to us if Detroit is his idea of a small town. I'm sorry about that. This carpet, it's 200 years old.
It looks good as new.
The older one's more expensive, old sport.
Oh.
Not sure how many bedrooms there are.
Shall I? Yeah, okay.
Anyway, they each have their own bathroom and living area.
This is fantastic. How do you afford it?
It's only money. Clip Springer. Maybe you'd like to come down and play piano for us later.
I can only play when I'm drunk.
Carry on. This is where the orchestra plays when it rains. These aren't the nicest rooms, but I find them comfortable.
When was this taken?
Oh, the pompadour. You never told me you had a pompadour. Or a yacht.
It's Mr. Dan Cody's yacht. He was my mentor. Dead now. I have a man in England who buys clothes for me. Sends them over at the beginning of every season. Spring, fall. It's the funniest thing, old sport. I can't. I can't. Daisy, you know, I don't think I'm gonna fit in here.
Oh, nonsense. Now, no one will tell the difference. Difference.
If it wasn't for the mist, we could see your home across the bay. You have a green light that shines all night at the end of your dock.
Possibly it had occurred to Gatsby that the colossal significance of that light had now vanished forever. Compared to the great distance that had separated him from Daisy, it had seemed very near to her, as close as a star to the moon. Now it was again a green light on a dock.
Oh, look at that. Oh, I just want to get one of those clouds and put you in it and just push you around.
Gatsby had passed visibly through 2 states and was entering upon a 3rd. After his embarrassment and his unreasoning joy, he was consumed with wonder at her presence. He had been full of the idea so long, dreamed it right through to the end, waited with his teeth set, so to speak, at an inconceivable pitch of intensity. Now, in the reaction, he was running down like an overwound clock. Tom was unhappy at Daisy's running around alone. He came with her to Gatsby's last party of the summer and showed an immediate disdain for the guests, affronted by the garishness of their newfound wealth. Perhaps it was his presence that gave the evening the peculiar quality of oppressiveness.
If you want to kiss me at any time during the evening, Nick, just let me know and I'll be glad to arrange it for you.
You must see a lot of faces you've heard about.
We don't get out very much. In fact, I was just thinking I don't know a soul here.
Perhaps you know this lady.
Oh, she's lovely.
The gentleman beside her is her director. Everyone, this is Tom Buchanan, the polo player.
Excuse me. Listen, do you mind? I'm in the other room drinking with this fella. He's getting off some funny stuff.
Go ahead, darling. And if you want to take down any numbers, you can use my little gold pencil.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. Come on, we'll tell Nick.
We're going to take a walk over to your bungalow. Keep an eye out for fire, flood, or any act of God.
Who does this Gatsby think he is? I'm telling you, that man over there, Sloan, had nothing good to say about him. Said he was the one who ruined a friend of mine, Walter Chase. Come on, let's wait this thing out at your bungalow.
Tom, it's no better at my house. And these parties tend to spill out across the lawn.
Where's Daisy? Where does he get his money?
He owns drugstores.
He's a bootlegger.
Oh, he owns a lot of drugstores in the Midwest. He built them up himself.
He thinks he's something, but he's nothing. The guy's nothing.
Bye, Mr. Gatsby. Nick, close the window.
She didn't like it. Daisy. She didn't like the party.
Of course she did.
No, she didn't have a good time. I feel so far away from her.
He wanted nothing less of Daisy than that she should go to Tom and say, "I never loved you." With that one sentence, she would obliterate the last thing standing in the way of their happiness. I wouldn't ask too much of her. You can't repeat the past.
Can't repeat the past? Of course you can.
He was gonna fix everything just the way it was before. That's what Gatsby told me when he called at Daisy's request and invited me to a lunch at her house. Something was up. So, where's the polo player?
Put your husband on.
The rumor is that that's Tom's girl on the phone.
Look, Wilson, if you keep complaining, I won't sell you the car at all. I won't stand for that. Mr. Gatsby. Glad to see you, sir. Nick! How are you?
Make us a cold drink. You know I love you.
You forget there's a lady present.
You kiss Nick, too.
What a low, vulgar girl.
I don't care. Mommy! Oh, the blessed precious. Come to your own mother that loves you. Oh, did Mommy get powder in your old curly hair? Now, stand up. I want you to say howdy do.
Howdy do.
Howdy do.
What do you think of Mother's friends? Mother wanted to show you off to her friends. What do you think of them? Aren't they pretty?
Where's Daddy?
You want to see Daddy? All right. Well, why don't you nurse go look for him? You dream on, you absolute little dream. Bye, darling.
Here we are.
Come here. You can see my place from here, just across from me.
So you are.
What do we do with ourselves this afternoon? And the day after that and the next 30 years?
Well, don't be morbid. Life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall.
But it's so hot and everything's so confused. Why don't we all go into town? Oh, you look so cool. You always look so cool.
All right. I'm perfectly willing to go to town. Come on. I'll get a bottle of whiskey. You women get these notions in your head. If we're going to town, let's start.
It's good. I couldn't have said anything in this house, old sport.
She's got an indiscreet voice. It's full of...
Her voice is full of money. Should we take my car?
That's okay. Why don't you take my coupe and let me drive your car to town?
I don't think there's much gas.
Plenty of gas. Come on, Daisy. I'll take you in this circus wagon.
Why don't you take Nick and Jordan? We'll follow you in the coupe.
Where should we meet if we get separated?
How about the Biltmore? I'll be the man smoking 2 cigarettes.
Did you see that?
See what?
You think I'm pretty dumb, don't you?
Maybe I should just go home.
Daisy invited us. I think she really wants us with her.
Sure she does. That's why she's in that car and you're in this one. I have a kind of second sight about these things. I've been conducting a little investigation of Gatsby's past.
And you found he's an Oxford man?
Oxford man. You seen the way he dresses? Let's have some gas.
Sick.
You sounded well enough on the phone.
Sorry about bothering you, Mr. Buchanan. I need money right away. I was wondering what you're gonna do with that old car of yours.
Why do you need money all of a sudden?
My wife and I want to go west.
Your wife does?
She's been talking about it for 10 years, and now she's going, whether she wants to or not.
How much do I owe you?
$1.20.
I'll let you have that car. I'll send it over tomorrow.
We took the inexplicable step of engaging the parlor of a suite at Biltmore Hotel. The notion originated with Daisy's suggestion that we hire 5 bathrooms and take cold baths, and then assumed a more tangible form as a place to have a mint julep.
Who was it fainted at our wedding, Tom?
Biloxi.
Open another window?
There aren't any more.
Then telephone down for an X.
You make the heat 10 times worse by crabbing about it.
Why not let her alone, old sport? It's your idea to come to town.
What is this old sport business? Where'd you pick that up?
Blocks Biloxi, and he made boxes. That's a fact. He was from Biloxi, Tennessee.
They carried him to my house. The church was just 2 doors down, and he stayed for 3 weeks till Daddy kicked him out. The day after he left, Daddy died. There was no connection. How did you know him, Tom?
He's a friend of Daisy's.
I never saw him before.
Well, he said he knew you.
Well, he told me he was president of your class at Yale.
Biloxi?
By the way, Mr. Gatsby, I understand you're an Oxford man.
Yeah, I went there.
Must have gone there about the same time Biloxi went to New Haven.
It was an opportunity they gave some of the officers after the armistice. We were allowed to choose from any of the universities in England or France. I went to Oxford for 5 months.
Open the whiskey, Tom, and I'll make you another mint julep. Then you won't seem so stupid to yourself.
I just want to ask Mr. Gatsby one more question.
Go on.
What kind of a row are you trying to cause in my house, anyhow?
You're causing a row. Please have a little self-control.
I suppose the latest thing is to let Mr. Nobody from Nowhere make love to your wife. Well, if that's the idea, you can count me out. I know I'm not very popular. I don't have big parties. Suppose you have to turn your house into a pigsty to have friends in the modern world.
I want to tell you something, old sport.
Oh, please don't. Why don't we all just go home?
That's a good idea. Come on, Tom.
I want to hear what Mr. Gatsby has to tell me.
Daisy doesn't love you. She's never loved you. She loves me.
You must be crazy.
The only reason she married you was because I was too poor and she was tired of waiting. It was a terrible mistake. But in her heart, she never loved anyone except me.
What's going on?
I just told you what's going on. It's been going on for 5 years and you didn't know.
5 years? I'll be damned if I see how you got within a mile of her unless you brought the groceries to the back door. Daisy loved me when she married me, and she loves me now.
No, she doesn't.
She does, though. Trouble is, sometimes she gets foolish ideas in her head and doesn't know what she's doing. And what's more, I love Daisy, too. Every once in a while, I go off on a spree and make a fool of myself. But I always come back. And in my heart, I love her all the time.
You're revolting. Do you know why we left Chicago? I'm surprised they didn't treat you to the story of that little spree.
That doesn't matter anymore. It's in the past. Just tell him the truth. That you never loved him, and it's all wiped out forever. Go on.
I never loved him.
Not a Capiolani?
No.
Not that day I carried you down from the punch bowl to keep your shoes dry? Or the day Pammy was born? Daisy?
Please don't. There, Jay. Oh, you want too much? I love you now, isn't that enough? I can't help what's past. I did love him once, but I love you too.
What? You love me too?
Even that's a lie. She didn't know you were alive. There are things between Daisy and me that you'll never know. Things that neither of us can ever forget.
I need to, I want to talk to Daisy alone.
But even alone, I can't say I never loved him. That just wouldn't be true.
Of course it wouldn't.
As if it mattered to you.
Of course it matters. I'm going to take better care of you from now on.
No, you don't understand. You're not going to take care of her anymore.
I'm not. Why's that?
Daisy's leaving you.
I am.
She's not leaving me. Certainly not for a common swindler who would have to steal the ring he put on her finger.
Oh, please, let's get out of here.
Who are you, anyhow? You're one of that bunch that hangs around with Meyer Wolfsheim. That much I know. I made a little investigation. I'll carry it further tomorrow.
Suit yourself about that, old sport.
I found out what your drugstores were. He and this Wolfsheim bought up a lot of side street drugstores and sold grain alcohol over the counter.
So what about it? I guess your friend Walter Chase wasn't too proud to come in on it.
And you left him in the lurch, didn't you? You let him go to jail for a month over in New Jersey. God, you ought to hear Walter on the subject of you.
Oh, he was glad to get his hands on the money, old sport, to pay off what he'd embezzled from the bank.
Don't you call me old sport. That drugstore business was small change. You've got something on now. Something Walter's afraid to tell me about. Something about bonds?
Please, Tom. I can't stand it anymore.
You two start home in Mr. Gatsby's car. Go on. He won't annoy you. He realizes his little flirtation is over.
He underestimates us, Daisy. He doesn't know how much we love each other. He can't have you. I won't let him. I'd sacrifice everything for just one kiss. He's not capable of understanding that.
Jordan? Nick? Nick?
What?
You want anything?
Oh, no. I just remembered it's my birthday. I'm 30.
Something happened. Looks like Wilson's got some business at last.
No, sir, but it passed me going down the road. It was a big white car headed from New York. He never stopped. He just sped away.
You don't have to tell me what kind of car it is. I know what kind of car it is.
Listen, Wilson.
Listen to me, Wilson. Listen to me.
I just got here from New York, all right? I'm bringing you that coupe we've been talking about.
It was white.
The white car I was driving this afternoon wasn't mine, you understand? I haven't seen it all afternoon. I'm in the blue car. The coupe. Where were you headed?
You work there? It's true. He came straight from New York City.
This car goes from New York, from the other direction. Yes, sir. You saw a white car. I'm sure it was a white car. Couldn't see who was driving.
Can't even stop his car.
Hey, this all better be the truth.
I'm telling you, it's a big white car.
Right. I won't have to come back here.
Daisy's home.
Oh, I ought to have dropped you in West Egg, Nick. I'll telephone for a taxi. While you're waiting, you and Jordan better go to the kitchen and have supper if you want anything.
I'm starved.
I'll wait outside for the taxi.
Won't you come in, Nick? It's only 9:30. No sense wasting the whole evening.
Nick. Hey, Nick.
What are you doing?
You see any trouble on the road? Yes. She killed?
Yeah, I thought she was. I told Daisy I thought she was. It's best all the shock should come at once. She took it pretty good, though. Who was she?
Her name was Wilson. How did it happen?
We were driving along. She came out of nowhere. I tried to grab for the wheel, you know?
Was Daisy driving?
Jay, would you let me drive? I really think it would calm my nerves.
Sure.
Idaho. I think it sounds right for us.
You came back.
I'm all right.
I'll drop the car off and then I'll come back for you. I'll never leave you, Daisy.
I need to think.
So Daisy was driving.
Yeah. Of course, I'll say that I was. I'm just gonna wait here for a while. See if he tries to bother her about that unpleasantness this afternoon.
He won't bother her. He's not even thinking about her.
Yeah. Well, I don't trust him, old sport.
Wait here, I'll go see if there's any commotion. She's okay. Why don't you go home and get some sleep?
Nah, you go on. I'm gonna wait here until Daisy goes to bed. Good night, old sport. Nothing happened. I waited, then about 4 o'clock she came to the window, stood there for a minute, then turned out the light.
You gotta go away. It's certain they'll trace your car.
Leave now, old sport?
Go to Atlantic City for a week, or up to Montreal.
I can't leave Daisy.
It was that night Gatsby told me everything I now tell you. Told it to me because Jay Gatsby had broken up like glass against Tom's hard malice. It was all going too fast now. And he knew that he'd lost part of his dream. The freshest and best part ever.
I'm going to drain the pool today, Mr. Gatsby. There's always trouble when the leaves clog the pipes.
No, don't do it today. You know, old sport, I haven't used this pool all summer. I've got to catch my train. Thanks for breakfast. I'll call you. Do. Old sport. I suppose Daisy will call, too.
I suppose so.
You know, I can't tell you how surprised I was that I loved Daisy. I even hoped she'd throw me over for a while, but she didn't. Because she loved me, too.
They're a rotten crowd. You're worth the whole damn bunch put together. I've always been glad I said that. It was the only compliment I ever gave him. Because, though you might think me a hypocrite, I disapproved of him from beginning to end. I had an idea that Gatsby himself didn't believe Daisy's phone call would come. And perhaps he no longer cared. He had lost the old warm world, paid a price for living too long with a single dream.
You know I love you.
It's the funniest thing, old sport. I can't. I can't.
Newspaper reports referred to it as a Holocaust. They called Wilson a madman. Said he'd been deranged by grief. The police, it seems, were not quite finished with Gatsby. But Daisy was.
Mummy and Daddy are going to have to leave for a few weeks, but we'll be back very soon.
Say goodbye to Daddy, honey? That's my good girl.
Mr. Carraway's on the telephone from Mrs. Buchanan.
Tell him we left.
Very well.
They were careless people, Tom and Daisy. They smashed up things and creatures, and then retreated back into their money, or their vast carelessness, or whatever it was that kept them together. And they let other people clean up the mess they made.
How much are the bonds worth?
800,000. Have them search everywhere, between pages of books, underneath furniture.
What are you looking for?
Nothing important, Mr. Carraway.
I found myself on Gatsby's side, and alone. I wanted to go to where his body lay and reassure him. Whatever remained to be done on his behalf, I would do.
Excuse me, Mr. Carraway. You're in the bond business, aren't you?
I remembered what Tom had said about the bonds. Something to do with Wolfsheim.
What you got here?
I felt a certain shame for Gatsby, thinking I alone was left to defend him. And then on the third day, a telegram arrived from Minnesota. It said only that the sender was leaving immediately and to postpone the funeral until he came.
Mr. Gatsby?
Gatz is my name. Henry Gatz.
It was Gatsby's father. I'm Nick Carraway.
Of course, we was broke up when he run off from home. But I can see now there are reasons for it. Are you a friend of his?
We were close friends.
He had that when he was a boy. It just shows you. Jimmy always had a plan.
His fatherly pride pointed me to young Jimmy Gatz's foundation for the man he would become. A bugle call of 6 a.m. and cautions not to smoke and not to waste time.
He was bound to get ahead.
I think he rather expected me to copy down the list for my own use.
I'll get that picture.
Yes.
It's Slagle. Did you get my wire?
No, there haven't been any wires today.
Get rid of the bonds. The cops will be on to you. Get the message to Wolfsheim. Young Park's in trouble. They picked him up when he handed the bonds over the counter. They got a circular from New York giving him the numbers 5 minutes before. You never can tell in these hick towns.
Look here. This is... Mr. Gatsby's dead. Clip Springer.
The old fellow let me up.
The funeral's tomorrow, 3 o'clock. I wish you'd tell anybody who'd be interested.
Oh, I will. Of course, I'm not likely to see anybody, but if I do...
You're coming, aren't you?
Well, the fact is, you see, I'm expected by some people up in Greenwich tomorrow. In fact, there's a sort of a picnic or something.
Why'd you come?
Well, fact of the matter, you see, I left these here, and I'm quite helpless without them. I'll do my best to get away tomorrow.
I was left with the remnants of Gatsby's dream. Some newspaper clippings of Daisy and the bonds he had forged to get her.
I couldn't get to the house.
Neither could anybody else.
Why, my God, they used to go there by the hundreds. Poor son of a bitch.
Daisy had not sent a message or a flower. Poor son of a bitch. After Gatsby's death, there was nothing to keep me in the East. The bond business had lost its charm. And I'd heard Jordan Baker was engaged to another man. I was ready to return home.
Hello, Nick. What's the matter, Nick? You object to shaking my hand?
You know what I think of you.
You're crazy, Nick. What's the matter with you?
How did Wilson know it was Gatsby's car?
He tried to force his way into our house when we were getting ready to leave. He's crazy enough to kill me if I hadn't told him who owned the car. What if I did tell him? That fella had it coming. He threw dust in your eyes just like he did Daisy's. Ran over Myrtle like he'd run over a dog, and he never even stopped his car. If you think I didn't have my share of suffering, I went over to her flat, sat down and cried like a baby.
I tried to think about Gatsby for a moment, but he already seemed too far away. The East was haunted for me now, distorted beyond my eyes' power of correction. I had lost my capacity for wonder. We were all from the Middle West, Tom and Gatsby, Daisy and Jordan and I. And perhaps we possessed some deficiency in common which made us subtly unadaptable to Eastern life. Before leaving for home, there was one more thing to be done for Gatsby. As I brooded on the old, unknown world, I thought of Gatsby's wonder when he first picked out the green light at the end of Daisy's dock. He had come a long way, and his dream must have seemed so close that he could hardly fail to grasp it. He did not know that it was already behind him. Somewhere back in that vast obscurity beyond the city where the dark fields of the Republic rolled on under the night. Gatsby believed in the green light. The orgiastic future that year by year recedes before us. It eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms farther, and one fine morning, so we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past.